Hey there guys, it's Salis, and welcome back to this. This is my first review I've done in quite a while, so I might be a little rusty, but I'll tell you what isn't rusty: space combat, which Born Ready Games have done a great job with in Strike Suit Zero. Let's start by talking about Strike Suit Zero's appearance, because, you know, first impressions matter, you gotta sell yourself somehow. Strike Suit Zero has actually overcome a major hurdle in the form of its setting. Because the thing about space, the colour of space, your basic space colour is it's black. And that can get a little boring. But the way Strike Suit Zero has been designed is full of wonderful planetscapes, nebulas, and lots of explosions. And the ships in this setting are all very well designed. Each is distinctive and recognisable no matter how fast they fly by you. But let's talk about the most important thing here, the mech. Junji Ikobu was brought onto the project to design the mech, and he did a fantastic job. The Eastern, more Gundam style of the mech is incredible, and if you ask me, I think it suits the space setting far more than a Western mech would. And the animation of the transformation sequence particularly is very, very high quality. It really does seem organic in that you would genuinely believe that this is a robot disguised as a spaceship and not the other way around. So as far as design's concerned, this game has it nailed. As for the sound work of Strike Suit Zero, the game has an amazing soundtrack composed by Paul Ruskay, who you might remember from the Homeworld soundtrack, and once again Ruskay has pulled out his A game for this project. There are some truly epic combat tracks with some great rhythm and tone, and then there's the main theme, which I love. It sounds kind of like an AI choir, and it suits this type of game 100%. The voice acting in this game is good, with some truly thought out performances. For instance, the character of Control is an AI inhabiting the body of a human scientist, and the voice work genuinely sounds the way you would imagine a computer speaking through a human body to sound. There are other standout performances in this game, which include Commander Reynolds, who for some reason reminds me of Battlestar Galactica's Starbuck, and Commander Bowman. There are other sounds in this game, of course, such as thruster sounds, weapons fire, and explosions, and all these really help to build on the atmosphere. However, I do have one small issue with the sound. When you've got a missile locked onto you, the sound is very, very quiet, and this is actually a key feature. It's one of your main defensive systems, tells you when to activate your EMP. But even at full volume, it's very, very quiet and often gets buried under other sounds such as the explosions or your main gunfire. And particularly the player's targeting system. But as I said, this is the only issue I have with the game's sound. The story, on the other hand, well, with space combat there are only really two ways you can go with the story: humans versus aliens, or humans versus other humans. Strike Suit Zero settled on the second, and I think it works much to its advantage. Basically, the humans learn how to spread across the galaxy, colonies are formed, colonies want independence, Earth says no, war becomes expensive, so the colonists build a weapon that can destroy a planet. But there are other subtleties to this game's story. For instance, the character of Control has predictive tactical capability, but she has no concept of preserving human life. So she frequently comes up with guaranteed victory scenarios, but involving mass casualties on both sides. And as I mentioned before, Commander Bowman's performance is great. He has an obsession with destroying the Black Fleet, who are basically an elite colonial force. They only take the best. And while this has not exactly been clearly explained in the story, it does give his character some depth and leads to a absolutely breathtaking scenario in one mission where the Black Fleet shows up and he goes full on tunnel vision trying to destroy them. So with these little extra bits and subtleties to the story, it really does give a great experience to the player. But the controls are where this game has to shine. I thought initially that this game would have issues with its controls, but to my surprise, navigating the full 3D environment of space is remarkably easy. The controls are fluid and quite intuitive, but the best feature of the control system is its variety. You can run this game perfectly well with a 360 pad, although this is not my chosen method of control, it works really well. Standard keyboard and mouse controls are great. In fact, the keyboard mouse configuration I think makes the game easier because you can precision aim, something not afforded by the other control systems, because there's no aim assist or auto targeting, and spaceships move fast. However, this is still not my chosen control system, because I was always a big fan of stuff like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and I was delighted to hear when Strike Suit Zero had joystick support. And it actually made me go out and buy one, just to play this game. And even though there's no help with regard to targeting, I prefer the feel of a space combat game with the joystick. It adds extra challenge for me. And all the controls are fully rebindable. That's the controls on the keyboard, the controls on the Xbox 360 pad, and on your joystick. But in my opinion, the default control settings have been well considered and seem to work really well, at least for me. The controls themselves do great service for this game, and the genre as a whole. Born Ready games have overcome the problem of jousting very, very well, with the added element of strike mode, whereas before you would end up flying past each other, getting the odd shot in over and over until someone died. Strike mode allows the player to fire with increased power for a short while, with auto lock-on gun turrets and multi-target missile system. Strike mode has cut out so much of the awkwardness of space combat. It really, really does work in this game's favour. As for the optimization of this game, despite its absolutely amazing graphical style and gaming's tendencies to, well, let's say cut meals to afford the shiniest dresses, it does seem to run well on both my high-ish end gaming rig and my mid-range all-rounder laptop. I myself have not any problems with this game, but I've been unable to test it on low-end systems. But from what I've seen, this game runs pretty well with steady enough frame rates on the majority of systems. The replay value of Strike Suit Zero comes from the score attack thing it has going on. It's very much an old school game. You rack up score for completing objectives, destroying targets, secondary objectives and debris, as well as how fast you do it, and you want to become more efficient and effective to get that high score. But that's not the only corner in which replay value is hiding. The game has what the developers call the Save Earth metagame, which is basically an ideal worst case scenario. If you 100% the game and get the highest medals on all missions, Earth will be completely saved and pristine. However, if you don't, it'll end up in varying states of destruction depending on how you've done, and which ships you managed to save, which ones you've sacrificed, etc, etc. And of course you always want to go back and do the best you can for our planet. There are other bits of this game where replayability is there, such as the ability to revisit early missions in ships you unlock later in the game. It's a massive bonus, especially if the game got a bit hectic on that mission, like you're going up against like 25 fighters all at once. So it's really nice to go back in, say, the Strike Suit with its multi-missile targeting and just destroy them. It's really, really fun and rewarding to get revenge on those tricky missions. So, in conclusion, Strike Suit Zero is with its beautiful design and stunning sounds and well planned out and varied controls, is the ideal rebirth of the space combat genre, and absolutely worth your attention. Not to mention, it's a mech in space. I would give Strike Suit Zero 9 out of 10. I've been Salis, this has been Strike Suit Zero, and I will see you next time.